meeting of the Town Council Finance Committee to order. President are myself, Councilor Ingalls, Councilor McGrattan, Mayor Allen, Finance Director Marcia Hancock, and Town Planner Elizabeth Burdick. Thank you everyone for joining. And I don't see any citizens, but if there are any citizens' comments, now is the time to speak. Otherwise, we'll go. I don't have any informational items, so we'll go on to a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes of October 7th, 2020. This is Councilor Ingalls.
And Councilor Solomon seconds. Any discussions, comments, corrections?
No.
Okay. I saw none either. They were excellent. All in favor, please say aye. Councilor
Ingalls votes aye.
Councilor Solomon says aye, and the motion passes. The minutes are accepted. Marcia, anything for the Finance Director's report?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. So the first motion I'm going to move to remove from the table, Andra, and I will explain why. So I move to remove from the table and act on the motion to grant a bid waiver to CGIS Mapping LLC to update the town's Geographic Information Systems, GIS, data in accordance with Ordinance number 200-001 and Ordinance for purchasing.
Second.
Thank you. So I'm going to open it up to discussion. Liz is here. I think she'll probably have some updates for us, and then we may withdraw the motion, but let's see what Liz has to say.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So since the motion was tabled at your last meeting, I have reached out to Liz Crutcher, who's the GIS coordinator for the Regional Planning Agency to Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments. She gave me names of 2 other companies that I could be working with to do our parcel updates. I had a really long discussion with a gentleman by the name of Tim Fountain from CAI, and I'm also having a discussion with Kristen from New England Geosystems. So there's a little bit of information I have to get to them. So I do not have quotes yet, but I am working on them and hope to have them for your next meeting.
So thank you. So I think what we'll do here is withdraw this motion to grant the bid waiver, and then if you don't get enough quotes, we'll have a new motion to act on once we know the answers to those questions.
Sounds good.
So thank you. I will move to withdraw the motion. I think I just withdraw it, correct, Roxanne?
You can vote.
Okay. So I move to withdraw the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. And the motion passes to withdraw, so we will revisit this once we have more information. I'm just going to update the minutes here. Okay, thank you. The second one is the discussion regarding Vitale Aquatic and Tennis, 14 Iron Street, Ledyard, and their letter dated in March requesting a 5-year tax abatement. The mayor has done more research on this. He compiled some information from us. When we last discussed it, we split it out into a discussion about tax abatement for COVID, and I think that the Finance Committee was clear that we've already denied one request for abatement based on COVID. And the reason is it's a very slippery slope. It's impossible to draw a line on which business to grant a tax abatement to and which not to. Also, there is a 3-month tax deferral in place for businesses that are suffering from COVID. The second part of the discussion was about the fact that as a new business in town, the VAT had requested a tax abatement after they were in business, but not before. And the information that the mayor came up with showed that there was discussion about this at the EDC, and the EDC also commented that it's normal for a business to submit a tax abatement request before they break ground or sometimes even purchase a property, as in the case of the Ledyard Center School. And we've had a number of new businesses in town that did request in advance. The concern is what to do if we grant a business a tax abatement after they open up, what other businesses might come forward. And there are a number that very well might. There are other new businesses that are broken ground, they're open, and they're paying taxes, and they have not requested a tax abatement. So whatever we might consider granting to the VAT, we may very well also have to abate similar taxes to other businesses, some that we know of, some we may not have thought of. So those are my thoughts and a summary, and I would open it up to any other comments. Councilor Ingalls.
Right, thank you. I'm still curious about the advice that the prior planner gave to the Vitales about waiting to request abatement. I will assume positive intent. I try to do that. I'm just perplexed. No fault to the Vitales, but I'm just honestly so perplexed by that advice. So I would, if there's a way to understand what the intent was there, I would love to understand that. I'm inclined to try to find a way to make this right by them. And I don't know if there's, a checklist, if you will, of qualities that that we look for when we're considering an abatement for a business that's breaking ground. Although that term breaking ground, I think, might be one of them. There's a difference between a business that's moving into, quote unquote, vanilla box storefront that exists versus one that is breaking ground and changing the face of the community. Anyway, that's really still my concern here, is that through no fault of their own, they were advised to follow this protocol. And I would like to see us make that right in some way.
Yeah.
So I can chime in if you would like, Bill.
Go ahead, Mayor. Yeah.
So our previous planner, Charlie Carno, did work with another operation called First Leaps Together during Charlie's tenure here. They did negotiate a tax abatement. Theirs was, and I have the notes here. Theirs was 100% tax abatement for the new construction only. So what they did was they had one building, they built another building on the same property, and that was abated fully for 3 years. But that one was done in advance, as most typically are. I combed through all my emails that I could find from Charlie Carno, and there was an email from Charlie which said that he was retiring this. I believe it said he was retiring this Friday, and he said to the Vitales he would recommend to the mayor that the EDC consider offering a tax abatement. So that's kind of how that went down. I don't know that it was the greatest advice at the time from the planner. Kind of unusual, and it certainly didn't fit the bill for what he had done in the past. And I don't remember if Charlie Carno was our planner at the time that Village Market did their project. That project probably okay. Marcia is shaking her head side to side, as is Roxanne. So that predated Charlie. Yeah. But it just seems like I understand it. It does sound like it was odd. I also find it somewhat odd that they waited a while, and I did explain to Bill that when I did receive the letter, I sent it on to EDC. They didn't really know what to do with it, and EDC was kind of in flux at the time. John Vincent, who is chairing it now, seemed to take a more active role in EDC, so I think they're on better footing now. But I don't know. I'm vastly concerned about what kind of precedent we set if we start backing into abatements. We have a developer that built 2 brand new Best Way gas station and convenience stores in town. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't allow him to back into abatements on his too. And he's I think about $19,000 or $20,000 a year annually per station. So I understand what you're saying, Andra, but I don't necessarily feel like they were misguided so much as maybe they didn't do their own homework in terms of seeking an abatement when they originally even contracted on the property.
So I would add to that, Mayor. I recall reading the excerpt from Charlie's email, and it appeared to me, and this is my opinion only, I have no proof, but it looked to me like he was responding to something. And the normal process throughout the country is to ask for deals before you start your project, so you put your whole financial package together, and that includes tax abatements. It's possible that the subject came up after they had broken ground and started the project, and Charlie was responding to a question, hey, can we have a tax abatement? But that's not the normal process. And he could have been just saying, yeah, I'll talk to the mayor about that, and that's all that means. The history in Ledyard specifically is that some businesses have gotten tax abatements, but all of them have gotten them in advance of starting their project. So there are other investments that existing businesses have made that improve the appearance of Ledyard Center. There, as the mayor mentioned, there are the 2 Best Way stations, which are up and running without asking for or receiving an abatement. And then we have existing businesses under development like Ledyard Center School, where they did ask for and received an abatement at the time they decided to do their project. So I think we have to make a decision and distinguish between a solid business plan that includes a tax abatement as part of their deal and a request after the fact. And I think that's a very different situation. And once again, we find ourselves in the slippery slope. Councilor Ingalls, I want to help this business too. We're thrilled that they're in town, but I don't think it's a solid process to accept their request at this time. I think it should have been done before they started, and I think that's, there's an old saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse. That kind of applies here. It's too bad, and I really feel bad for them, but I think we have responsibilities to the taxpayers above that says, we have to consider the overall impact to the town's finances if we do this.
I understand, and I don't disagree that it's a slippery slope. I certainly don't. I wish I better understood the conversation that happened, before Charlie Carno left.
Yeah.
But I agree. We can't. If there was another way to somehow make things right, I agree. This isn't the way to make it right. Is not to backtrack and create some sort of retroactive abatement.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Okay. All right. I wish the Vitales were here and we could ask them some more questions. The mayor has done a great job of getting us more information as much as he could find, but in terms of a discussion, they should be part of it, and I don't see how to go any further with this. So I'm prepared to close it out.
Agree.
Okay. The next item we are not prepared to move on either. We're waiting on finance, and Roxanne handed me a lot of research that she has compiled for us. It's a combination of emails that we've all sent each other and other documents that have been provided with the meeting agenda in the past. And I spoke with the mayor today about possibly moving forward with the buildings exemption only, but I want to talk to Councilor Dombrowski about that first. And I think I would do that in the forum of the land use planning meeting, which is where this sits right now. So we're not prepared to move on that.
Okay.
And lastly, received some very good news from the mayor today regarding the pilot adjustment for Ledyard Housing Authority. And Mayor, this is such good news. You ought to be able to share it. So I'm going to turn this over to you. And if you'd like to explain, I think we'll all be thrilled to hear this news.
Sure. So, as you know, Liz worked very hard. Liz Burdick, Director of Planning and Development, worked very hard to get an application submitted on behalf of Kings Corner Manor, understanding that the Senior Housing Authority, the town, and CHAFA are all in separate silos. But that being said, if a grant were to come through, the town is the one that Liz did that very well. We are still waiting for our answer on that. But in the meantime, in the interim, I believe it was yesterday afternoon, we received a phone call from CHAFA, and they said, would $1 million, an extra $1 million, help that project? And that blew Liz over. And we were immediately thinking, geez, what could we do? So Liz has established, we have a conference call tomorrow with CHAFA, and I think it's Miguel Cardona, the head of the Housing and Urban Development for the state. So we have that conference call tomorrow. We really hope that that's going to come together. That project is long overdue, probably, and then some. And we hope that the folks at CHAFA recognize the need, how deep the need is for Kings Corner. And we're thinking that if that extra $1 million comes through and they do end up doing the kitchens and some additional electrical improvements and sidewalks, pouring sidewalks with concrete as opposed to blacktop, and repaving the parking lot, that it will take our frozen in time 1986 Kings Corner Manor up to 2021. And I think the residents will be absolutely delighted with what they see in the end. And it will also help with the rent stratification. So I think it's if we can pull this off, and I'm really looking forward to the call tomorrow. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of where we were with that. And I'm excited that CHAFA has reached out and recognized the need.
I want to note also it was actually $1.3 million. So I was even 300,000 blown away by that. And our call tomorrow is with the DOH, as Mayor Allen said, and those are the folks that make the decisions on the CDBG grant that we submitted. So that was a really, really good, again, nobody's made a decision yet, but asking the Housing Authority if they'd like $1.3 million additional money kind of gives us hope that perhaps our grant is going to be approved.
And certainly gives us an incentive to cooperate in any way that CHFA wants to.
Yes.
Great news.
Thank you.
Okay. Don't believe we have any new business. Is there any new business that we need to add to the agenda in the form of a motion?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, we are adjourned at a record 5:19 p.m., I believe.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great night.
Good night.